It all began with a faint glimmer on August 6, 2025. A moment so quiet and controlled inside a lab, yet deeply unsettling in what it revealed. The James Webb Space Telescope, the most powerful observatory ever built, was suddenly forced into emergency override mode. Not for a supernova, not for a black hole, but for something far closer and far more disturbing, a comet, or at least something that looked like one. It was given the name 3IATLAS. At first, it seemed like just another interstellar object, cold, silent, and predictable. But the moment its data began streaming in, everything changed. The chemical signature didn't match anything known. The ratios were unnatural, the elements mismatched, and the behavior completely erratic. As scientists studied the incoming data, one question began to quietly spread through the room. What if this isn't a comet at all? What if it was sent? The first warning sign came from the comet's coma, the glowing cloud of gas surrounding its core. At that distance, 6 astronomical units from the Sun, it should have been frozen and inactive. Sunlight there is far too weak to trigger activity. And yet, 3IATLAS was already active, and violently so. Instead of the usual water vapor, the telescope detected massive amounts of carbon dioxide, 8 times more than water. That ratio was not just unusual, it was unheard of. Most comets don't even come close. This object seemed to be releasing gas in a controlled, precise way, with almost no dust or debris. It wasn't chaotic like a natural comet. It was clean, smooth, and deliberate. Then came something even more disturbing. The telescope detected strong signals of nickel. Not small traces, but powerful and consistent emissions across multiple wavelengths. And yet, something was missing: iron. In every known space rock, nickel and iron always appear together. Their ratio is stable and predictable. But here, iron was completely absent. Not reduced, not hidden, gone. Nickel dominated the readings, outweighing iron by more than 40 to 1. There is no natural process known to science that can create such a separation. In laboratories, separating these metals requires energy, precision, and intent. But this object was doing it naturally, or perhaps not naturally at all. Even before scientists fully understood the chemistry, something else caught their attention. The object was accelerating. Not slowly, not randomly, but in a way that defied physics. It was too far from the Sun for solar heat to cause this motion, yet within just 72 hours, its speed increased significantly. For an object roughly 11 kilometers wide, this was massive. Even stranger, the movement wasn't smooth. It showed small, repeated jumps, like something inside it was turning on and off. Every 7.2 hours, the object brightened sharply, like a lighthouse flashing on a fixed schedule. This wasn't the random spin of a rock. It was precise, mechanical. At this point, scientists were running out of explanations. When all natural causes fail, no sublimation, no gravitational effects, no random motion, only one possibility remains: that this object might be engineered. Maybe it was debris from an ancient civilization. Maybe it was a broken machine drifting through space. Or worse, maybe it was still active. A probe. A system. Something that sees us but doesn't need to hide. As more data came in, the light pattern became impossible to ignore. Every 7.2 hours, the brightness peaked in a perfect cycle. Not fading, not fluctuating, just switching on and off like a signal. Some scientists suggested it could be a reflective structure, like a light sail. Others thought it might be a rotating platform. But no one believed it was natural anymore. The pattern was too perfect, too controlled. It was sending a message without using words. Then came the moment that changed everything. Observatories around the world sent urgent alerts, forcing an emergency override of the James Webb Telescope. This is an extremely rare decision, one that interrupts all scheduled observations. Within minutes, approvals were granted, and the telescope turned its full focus toward 3IATLAS. When the first detailed data arrived, it confirmed everyone's fear. This was not a comet. The chemistry was too extreme, too volatile, too precise. It looked less like a natural object and more like a machine. As scientists studied the data further, the mystery deepened. The extreme nickel levels, combined with the total absence of iron, broke every known rule of space chemistry. Even rare molecules like nickel carbonyl couldn't explain it. The object's composition didn't match anything in our solar system, or beyond. It was something entirely unknown. Then came a strange connection to the past. Ancient civilizations, like the Egyptians and Babylonians, had long written about metal from the sky. Artifacts such as King Tutankhamun's dagger contain unusually high levels of nickel, similar to meteorites. Now, in 2025, scientists were seeing a similar signature again, but far more extreme. It raised a disturbing question. What if those ancient materials weren't just natural? What if they were fragments of something else? The mystery grew even darker when hidden patterns were found in the object's emissions. When scientists converted the data into sound, they discovered a repeating rhythm. Not random noise, but a structured pattern based on prime numbers and geometric ratios. It wasn't music or language, but something mathematical and intentional. A kind of signature embedded in the object's behavior itself. At the same time, something strange began happening on Earth. Geophysicists detected ultra-low frequency pulses deep within the planet. These pulses appeared every 7.2 hours, the exact same interval as the object's light pattern. They weren't coming from space. They were coming from inside the Earth. It was as if the planet itself was responding, resonating with the object like a tuning fork. When scientists mapped the object's path, the final piece fell into place. Its trajectory wasn't random. It avoided planets with incredible precision, moving like a spacecraft following a pre-programmed route. Simulations showed a 92% match with engineered flight paths. It wasn't drifting. It was navigating. And then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it went silent. The emissions faded. The light stopped. The signals disappeared. Within hours, the object became invisible to every telescope on Earth. Not because it moved away, but because it shut down. Completely. Like a machine powering off after completing its task. But the story didn't end there. New data revealed that its trajectory had slightly changed. Instead of leaving the solar system, it adjusted course toward a stable region between Earth and Venus. A place where detection is difficult. A place where it could remain hidden. At the same time, an AI analysis of its emissions revealed something shocking. When visualized, the patterns formed a structure similar to early biological molecules, like primitive RNA. Not life itself, but a template. A code. Something that could potentially seed life under the right conditions. Then came the most chilling discovery. Radar signals bounced off the far side of the Moon, but returned altered. The same pattern seen in 3IATLAS was now being reflected from the lunar surface. Even older data showed similar signals during the passage of Oumuamua. It wasn't a new event. It had happened before. Finally, deep space observations revealed a repeating signal across distant regions of the galaxy. 7 pulses, then silence. Then 7 more. All aligned with the object's path. It wasn't just local anymore. It was part of something much larger. A network. A relay. Maybe even a countdown. And that's where we are now. We thought we were observing a strange object. But what we may have witnessed was something else entirely. A system executing a sequence. Not communicating, but activating. Not arriving, but continuing something that started long before us. Maybe 3IATLAS wasn't here to explore. Maybe it was here to check something, to confirm something, and then move on. And if that's true, then the real question isn't what we saw. It's what happens next.